And so, everyone, it is now time that we shall go and conclude this episode off with the grand finale. And for this finale, we are going to talk about the biggest entertainment news that happened this week. Something in which happened much sooner than we expected. I think it is safe to say that, Tony, we're both Disney nerds and we all know it.
I've heard of Disney, yes. It's a company I'm vaguely familiar with.
Yes, I know, especially with the podcast of yours escaping from that vault. Yes.
I've vaguely heard of vaults too, yes.
Exactly. So, from here, though, we have heard about this news for quite a long time, and especially throughout this decade, we've heard about the talks about who's going to be the successor, who is going to be the next CEO after Bob Iger. And after all the speculation, it seems that finally we have a chosen one. And Tony, just out of curiosity, are you surprised by this selection?
Not at all. I don't think anyone was really surprised by this. It seemed to be what most people were predicting and anticipating. Literally, if it had been anyone but this guy, people would have been surprised. Everyone was pretty confident. No, it's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I guess that's pretty much the winner right there. So why don't we go and actually talk about the new Disney CEO, Josh D'Amaro. Yes, the Walt Disney Company has officially revealed that Josh D'Amaro, the current chair of Disney Experiences, which is their theme park division, has officially been named the next chief executive officer of the Walt Disney Company after Bob Iger. And this is a decision that will be happening much sooner, or at least the job position is going to be happening sooner than expected, because even though Bob Iger's contract officially ends at the end of this year, Josh D'Amaro will now be the new CEO starting March 18th. But that's not all, however, because there's another person who got a major promotion, and that is Dana Walden, in which she is currently the co-chairman of Disney Entertainment, but now she will be boosted on March 18th, where she's going to be the president and the chief creative officer of the Walt Disney Company, the first woman to ever do so, by the way. And there are a couple of quotes that I would like to go and read you. Oh, actually, no, before that, I want to go and answer immediately the question of what's going to be happening with Bob Iger, because technically he'll still be on board at Disney this year, but this is for sure going to be his last year before his retirement, where it states, reading from my source here, by the way, on the Walt Disney Company's website, it states, Bob Iger has provided extensive mentorship to the internal candidates throughout the succession planning process, and upon transition will continue to serve as senior advisor and a member of the Disney board until his retirement from the company on December 31st, 2026. And speaking of which, Bob Iger also got some comments about the two people that he has promoted. In terms of Josh D'Amaro, he stated, Josh D'Amaro is an exceptional leader and the right person to become our next CEO. He has an instinctive appreciation of the Disney brand and a deep understanding of what resonates with our audience, paired with the rigor and attention to detail required to deliver some of the most ambitious projects. His ability to combine creativity with operational excellence is exemplary, and I am thrilled for Josh and the company. As for Dana Walden, he states that Dana Walden is an excellent leader who commands tremendous respect from the creative community. Given that creativity is at the heart of everything Disney does, she is a wonderful choice to serve in this new leadership role. In the years since Dana joined Disney, she has accumulated great knowledge about the many facets of our businesses and brands, and is very well prepared to be president and chief creative officer. We also got one more quote I'd like to read here, specifically coming from Josh D'Amaro himself, in which he states, "I am immensely grateful to the board for entrusting me with leading a company that means so much to me and millions around the world. Disney's strength has always come from our people and the creative excellence that defines our stories and experiences. There is no limit to what Disney can achieve, and I am excited to work with our team across the company and brilliant creative partners to honor Disney's remarkable legacy while continuing to innovate, grow, and deliver exceptional value for our customers and shareholders. I also want to express my gratitude to Bob Iger for his generous mentorship, his friendship, and the profound impact of his leadership." So, Tony, considering that you are a theme park enthusiast, I'm sure you've heard of the name Josh D'Amaro before. What are your thoughts on him prior to him being the CEO of Disney?
You know, Matt, one of the most common misconceptions about Disney adults, for lack of a better term, is our general feelings towards Disney executives. I am probably what you would consider a Disney adult. Most of my best friends are Disney adults. Many, many more of them are social media mutuals. I encounter Disney adults in some way, shape, or form pretty much every day, is what I'm saying. And across the board, we all absolutely despise Disney executives with the white-hot passion of a billion suns. Last year, when Kimmel got temporarily suspended and Disney adults en masse canceled their Disney Plus and Hulu accounts in protest, people were actually surprised at that. I was not surprised at all. I mean, look, say what you want about people who go to the parks 20 times a year and have walls full of Disney Funko Pops, but in my experience, 10 times out of 10, if those exact people came across Bob Iger drowning, they'd throw a rock instead of a rope. And if it was Chapek drowning, they'd dive in themselves just to hold him underwater until he stopped moving. Put it this way. If you've seen enough Disney movies, you know a villain when you see one. Now, I say all of this to emphasize just how extraordinary it is that Josh D'Amaro being selected as Disney's new CEO has received a mostly positive reception from the fans who usually absolutely despise Disney executives. But they seem to actually like Josh D'Amaro, so that should tell you something. Now, we'll see how long that lasts. We'll see how long people react to him. I mean, Disney fans liked Bob Iger too at first until we didn't. The really old school Disney adults liked Eisner at first until they didn't. It seems like ever since Walt died, Disney CEOs have operated on a 20-year cycle. Walt dies in the late 60s. His brother Roy takes over. Eventually Roy dies and we get Card Walker and then Ron Miller. And at first, Walt dies in the 60s. At first, they just stay the course. They ask what Walt would have done. And, it looks like things are going okay. They release hits like The Jungle Book and The Love Bug. But then everything changes in the 70s. The company's fortunes get worse and worse. By the mid-80s, everything's fallen apart. And, I love you too, Gunnerman1400 in the chat. But everything's fallen apart. They need a new CEO. That CEO is Michael Eisner. And for the first decade or so of his tenure, things are going great. They've got Roger Rabbit. They've got the Disney Renaissance. They've got lots of cool new park expansions. Then in the 90s, Euro Disney opens and flops, and Frank Wells is dead, and Eisner becomes afraid to spend too much money and anger the stockholders. There's massive budget cuts across the board. Everyone hates him. And in the mid-2000s, we need another reboot again. It's been another 20 years, so Iger takes over. His solution is just to buy everything. They buy Pixar, they buy Marvel, they buy Lucasfilm. It's an era of unprecedented prosperity for the mouse. They've got Frozen and Zootopia and the MCU and The Force Awakens and even more expansions at the parks. And then in the 2020s, to a lesser extent, but still, it feels like it all comes crumbling down again. The Star Wars sequel trilogy really doesn't stick the landing. People get tired of the MCU. There's too many live-action remakes. In 2023, Disney has their big 100th anniversary, and none of the movies they released that year do very well. And Chapek is such a disaster that Iger has to step back in, and now he's hated just as much. So, now it's the mid 2020s. Another 20 years has passed since Iger became CEO, and now we get a new CEO, Josh D'Amaro. And if trends continue, we'll probably get about a decade of D'Amaro being really cool and making smart decisions and expanding the companies in ways that serve the customers as well as the stockholders. But I'm just warning y'all, by the late 2030s, early 2040s, the bloom is going to be off the rose. Everyone's going to hate this guy again. It'll be time to start over again sometime in the mid 2040s. It's just, the wheels go round and round, folks.
Yes, it's the great Disney executive circle of life in a way.
Indeed it is. Not so buena.
Yeah, I will say, like, even I was surprised to see, like, even though the choice of Josh D'Amaro, like, okay, that's fine. Like, I was a little bit hesitant because it's like, yeah, it didn't go great the last time you brought in the head of the theme parks to be the CEO. So, I don't know.
Well, I mentioned that everyone saw this coming. Like, I remember even back when Chapek was picked as Iger's first successor that didn't stick. But even back then, I remember seeing people hoping that he would pick D'Amaro over Chapek. People just really seemed to like the guy. People really seemed to like Josh D'Amaro in a way they never ever liked Chapek, even though Chapek outranked Josh D'Amaro. Chapek was very much next in line above Josh D'Amaro at that time. So from a business standpoint, it made sense, but people just didn't like Chapek nearly as much.
Well,
So now people are getting what they want, and across the board, the reasons I keep seeing for why people think D'Amaro is a good pick is his charisma. He's a very personable, charismatic guy who, I don't know how much of this is genuine and how much is just a front, but he seems at least to legitimately enjoy just talking to people. Like he's the kind of guy who will go to the parks and literally just pose for selfies with random guests who recognize him. He was in charge of the parks back when COVID hit and parks had to be shut down for a while. And I remember reading about a cast member at the time talking about how Josh D'Amaro personally came down and talked to the cast members and addressed their concerns and had a big meeting with a bunch of them where it's kind of like a political town hall meeting almost, where he just took questions and really talked to them on a level that they seem to appreciate. So at least appearing like he was on their side through the whole thing. Now, I actually have a bit of a controversial take on D'Amaro, which is that I don't think he's all he's cracked up to be, honestly. I think, like I said, even if he is all he's cracked up to be, that's not going to last forever. But there's a couple of things about the guy that concern me a little. Number one, the biggest concern, the biggest red flag for me about Josh D'Amaro is that apparently he's not rejecting AI to the extent I really hope he would. He's actually, he was actually personally involved with that deal between OpenAI and Disney. Now, he has made assurances that AI, he made some quote about, AI will not replace creativity at this company. We'll see how true that ends up being, because the whole damn purpose of AI is pretty much to replace creativity. But that to me is the biggest red flag in all of this. And also, people will point to the parks being such successes under him, and yes, the parks have been financially successful under Josh D'Amaro, but that hasn't always translated to guest experience. I mean, it was under Josh D'Amaro that they ditched FastPass in favor of Lightning Lane, which is much worse. It was under it was under Josh D'Amaro's watch that the whole Galactic Star Cruiser debacle happened. Now, Chapek got a lot of the blame for it, but D'Amaro was in charge of the parks when that happened. He was in charge of that division of Disney. The simplistic narrative that I keep seeing is that Chapek has been responsible for everything people don't like about the parks now, and D'Amaro is responsible for everything people do like about the parks now. I don't know how true that is, honestly. I guess we'll see how he does. We'll see how he performs.
Yeah, the funny thing is that I remember when there was that quote going around of Josh Amaro talking about AI and that, oh, people won't replace, or AI won't replace people and stuff like that.
Right.
And I was looking
Freudian
into it.
slip there from him.
Yeah, a little bit, sorry. But the thing is that I looked into those comments, and while people were saying it was like, Josh Amaro hates AI, and I'm just there like, where did he say that exactly? Because he didn't put out a no or a yes or anything like that. It's like, it's more PR speak, like, to go around it to not fully answer it. That I find to be a little bit suspicious.
He's trying to skirt the controversy and and skate across that razor's edge, which is very typical for a CEO, but it's also sadly typical. I wish he would just come out and say to hell with AI, but that's probably not realistic because corporations, at least at the moment, still think AI is profitable, which I hope it isn't, and if it is, I hope it isn't for long. So anyway.
Yeah, no, yeah, and the thing with Josh Amaro right now, it's like, at best, I feel like we're just going to be in a wait and see kind of attitude. That's like the most that we could expect. And yeah, it is true that with Josh Amaro, he has like this very solid, this very positive reputation where even Disney fans and even like those who are cynical towards Disney have more of a fond for Josh D'Amaro, especially like with his background. Like he's not like Bob Chapek where he just jumped from division to division in terms of like helping their businesses. Josh purely stuck with the theme parks. Like he started at the theme parks and then like grew his way up to being the head of it, and now he's going to be running Disney altogether. So maybe like just from that aspect, there could be people who do actually like him, but then there's also the factor of, is that actually going to be a great thing? And like ultimately the big question like that people will really have is, how is Josh D'Amaro going to be that different from Bob Iger? And I haven't really seen that many discussions. The most that I've seen that people talked about is that apparently Josh D'Amaro actually enjoys the Muppets more than Bob Iger. So
that's what I heard. Yeah. But also I heard the same thing about Chapek.
Mm-hmm.
I heard people say, yeah, Chapek sucks, but at least he's a huge Muppets fan, and it didn't really lead to much. I mean, hopefully, now that, D'Amaro has his thumb on the scale, hopefully that'll increase the likelihood of that amazing new Muppet Show reboot pilot actually getting picked up for a full series. That would be nice. But I mean, they'd be fools not to at this point. It's gotten the most positive reception of anything the Muppets have released since, geez, I'd have to go all the way back to the 90s. I mean, it would be stupid not to pick it up for a series at this point. And hopefully they do. We'll see.
Oh, absolutely. By the way, just a side note, I love that pilot. Oh my God.
It was so good. I agree. It was so good.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that like this might even be like the best thing for the Muppets since those movies from the 90s, like Muppets Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh, people in the chat, the best thing since like the 2011 movie and Muppets Most Wanted, for sure, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I also really loved Muppets Haunted Mansion, but yeah, this is just a whole new level.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. So hopefully like that could actually be the first test to see like how he could do, how Josh D'Amaro can do. But if anything, if we're going to hear something about it, it'll most likely be at D23 later this year.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I said, the biggest difference between Bob Iger and Josh D'Amaro at the moment seems to be that people just like Josh D'Amaro as a person in a way they really don't like Bob Iger. And who knows how much of that is genuine or more that Josh D'Amaro is just more photogenic and more and just more charismatic than Bob Iger. It might all be a front, but I hope it's not.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, and also you mentioned Dana Walden, her being promoted to president and CCO, chief creative officer. Again, like you said, the first time a woman has ever held that position that high in the company. I've seen people optimistic that this will lead to Damaro and Walden basically being the new Walt and Roy, or at least the new Eisner and Frank Wells, of having that sort of relationship where one pushes against the other and there's alchemy there. So yeah, let's hope.
Yeah, like ultimately this year, it's going to be like a true test to see what the new direction that Disney is going to take now that it's going to be led by Josh and Dana. Maybe there's going to be a massive improvement. Maybe we will see like there might be some issues or maybe things won't change, but like this is just going to be like this year is just going to be our first taste to see how it's going to go. And also I'm just wondering, are you surprised like how soon this is going to happen?
A little surprised. Yeah, I know. I know Iger's been wanting to get the hell out of Disney for a while now. He tried once, and then Chapek screwed up so badly. He was like, come on, let me take the wheel back, Junior. And I know that, he said when he was taking over for Chapek, like, this is only going to last a couple years. I want a proper successor soon. And even back then, people were saying, oh, it's going to be Josh D'Amaro. I'm honestly surprised it's taken this long to announce that it's going to be Josh D'Amaro, since that was always the clear pick. But yeah, I guess Iger just decided, we want this to be a quick transition. I don't want to overstay my welcome here.
Yeah, that is fair. So hopefully we'll see how things are going to go now that Josh D'Amaro and Dana Walden will be taking charge of Disney. So
I will say it was very, very crass of Josh D'Amaro to immediately give himself his own land at the parks. D'Amaro land.
Oh,
I mean, come on. Wait at least a little longer.
Come on, bruh. Oh boy. All right, anyways, now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall, and I'd like to know what you all think about Josh D'Amaro being the next CEO of the Walt Disney Company. Do you think he's going to be better? Do you think he's going to be worse than Bob Iger? Let me know your thoughts. Let's see now. A new chapter has begun for Disney. Josh becoming CEO wasn't surprising, but Dana Walden stepping in a role similar to Frank Wells was also unexpected. Josh is well regarded by cast members for his approachable leadership and taking feedback to heart. Hold on, I almost lost my... Okay, there we go. While Dana brings a strong creative track record from Hulu, whether they lead the House of Mouse towards a bright future or not remains to be seen. We can only hope that their first year will leave a positive reception. Cross fingers. All right. I'm honestly a little bit of a wait and see kind of attitude. While I could definitely see Josh D'Amaro can definitely do well as Disney's new CEO, considering he was previously involved with the parks and considering Chapek was involved with the parks previously, that was a disaster. So I do want to wait and see, and I think it's time for Bob Iger to step down. As much as I do appreciate what he did what he did for Disney during the 2010s, he really just overstayed his welcome and just made things worse. Let's see. Josh D'Amaro and Dana Walden, in my view, at least are excellent choices to succeed Iger. D'Amaro has a vision, drive, and ambition to be a great Disney CEO, while Walden sees value in great stories. Plus, D'Amaro wants Disney to get back into in-house video game development. That alone makes him superior to Iger in my book. Oh, that'll be interesting. All right. Well, coming from someone who briefly met Josh D'Amaro at D23, I kind of knew he would be CEO in the future, and we were all correct. Honestly, this definitely is a wait and see what will happen next for Disney and their animation studio like Walt Disney Animation Studios and Pixar. Hopefully better than Iger 2.0 after what happened last year with Jimmy Kimmel. I know Josh has a better understanding about Disney, but again, we'll just wait and see. All right, let's see now. Yeah, I guess I'll go with this one. It's about time there will be a new CEO at Disney. Hope Josh fixes things after Iger messed up, like treating employees well, giving full creative control to filmmakers, including animated films, respecting diversity and LGBTQ+, sending humanitarian aid to Palestine and Sudan, don't ruin projects or causing another controversy. We will have to wait and see if he succeeds well in the first year. Oh, if he succeeds well in the first year. Yeah, I mean, those are all nice, but like, don't put your hopes a little too high for that. Again, we are still talking about Disney executives.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I got one more here. I'm not fully committed to trusting tomorrow yet, but I hope things will improve compared to Chapek's tenure. I've done some research and mostly heard positive reviews about him, so I believe he's starting off well. Also, I don't mean to be rude, but I really love his last name. Seriously, I think it's a sign of good fortune to have such a name. Just imagine saying, I'll see you at work tomorrow without it sounding like a pun, but all is to say, a true test in his hands, hope for the best.